Very well. Okay, there it is. So, yeah, we have learned the past participle. That is the last of the tenses that you can use in narrative tenses. What is that? What is a narrative tense? Let me show you. Okay. So, a tense in English means un tiempo gramatical, right? So, tenses is, for example, the simple present, simple past, etc., right? Now, the narrative tenses are those ones that we use when we tell a story, when we say something that happened in the past. So these elements help you construct a story and help you talk about the past. So they are very important. They help you to describe a past story in the correct way. So the narrative tenses are simple past, past continuous, present perfect, past perfect, and we can also use simple present and present continuous. That depends on how you want to tell the story, okay? So before starting, I want to show you some vocabulary that we use when we tell stories or when we want to talk about time. So, okay, I'll send you a picture. Okay, with sequence adverbs. And one of these expressions, one of these is idioms related to time. Idioms related to time. All right. So we have the first one that is once upon a time, very famous. Once upon a time is the typical phrase that all fairy stories start with. What do you think is the meaning of once upon a time? They start like the story. Once upon a time, there was a princess that was in love.
First.
Yes, so once upon a time, it's like, érase una vez, right? Once upon a time, érase una vez. Is so very typical to start a story using once upon a time. Okay, you can also use long ago. Like long ago, there was, I don't know, there was a happy boy living. Yes, exactly. So you can also use it to start your story, right? Then we also have these expressions, right? In the days of yore. The days of yore is used as a narrative idiom too, but it also talks about like los viejos buenos tiempos, right? So when you think about something that happened in the days of yore is because the past days were better. Like they say, en los viejos buenos tiempos, right? That's the meaning of the expression, in the days of yore. Okay, that's another idiom. And this one is, it can be used in many situations. In the heat of the moment. Heat, you know what heat means, right? When it's hot, well, that's the heat. So when they say in the heat of the moment, it means that the situation maybe it was tense, right? And you did something that you didn't want, right? So in the heat of the moment, como en el calor del momento, no sé, in the heat of the moment, he became violent and hit the man, right? Entonces, como en el calor del momento de la situación, se puso violento y golpeó al hombre, right? So you use this expression in the heat of the moment when you are saying that you or the characters of the story acted for impulse, right? act for impulse without thinking about the negative results. So you say in the heat of the moment, they didn't think and they did this, right? All right. Act for impulse. We have on the edge. You can use the expression on the edge, which means about to, right? For example, I could say, okay, let's say the country was on the edge of getting involved in war, right? So when you say on the edge, it was about to, right? Think edge is el filo de una superficie, ¿no? Donde empieza un precipicio para algo, ¿no? The edge of the mountain, the edge of the table. So you say the country was on the edge, it means that we're about to get involved in a war. Okay. In the nick of time. In the nick of time means something that happens just in time, justo a tiempo, right? But this expression in the nick of time also means that for a few seconds, right, you wouldn't have done, right? It's like when you say por el, no sé, por un pelo de rana calva, ¿no? Casi no logro llegar al aeropuerto, right? So you say in the nick of time. So it means something that you did just on time, but just with a very short time. That's in the nick of time. Any questions about this? Something wasn't clear about these idioms related to time?
I don't understand, teacher, on the edge.
On the edge?
Yes.
About to. It's like a punto de. It's just a synonym.
Okay.
On the edge.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Very well. So these are some idioms related to time. And okay, now we have this, and I also send you a picture. So let's check the sentences that I use you. These are sequence adverbs. So they help you also to build your story. So they have like a logical, okay, one second. Okay. 30s. So you see that we have some, we have these like chart like this, first, next, then, last, finally, and each of them has like its own expressions, right? Okay, so we use first. You can use first when to start a story. You can use some adverbs to start a story. Okay, so first or first of all, right? So what is that? First of all. So it's like primero, primeramente, antes que nada, o que dicen que ahora es antes que todo, but it's first of all, right? So you can use these expressions. You can also use once upon a time, at first or at the beginning, before. Okay, before is like antes, right? Earlier, previamente. Okay, earlier. You can also say previously. Okay. So yeah, that's when we start the story. Let's go now. Next. What is the meaning of next?
Después o siguiente.
Exactly. Very well. So when you say next, you can say as a synonym of luego, right? So we have second, You can also use afterwards. Afterwards, what do you think is that? For example, I don't know. I had breakfast. Afterwards, I went to work. What do you think is the meaning of afterwards?
Después de eso.
Okay, exactly. So afterwards is posteriormente. Okay, posteriormente. Okay, and we also have the next day. You can say the next day or the following day, the next week. Then we have then. Then also means luego, right? You can use, for example, meanwhile. What is meanwhile? You can also say in the meantime.
Mientras tanto.
Exactly. Mientras tanto, so you can say in the meantime or meanwhile. Later. Okay, very well. So it's like luego. Once. Once is una vez. So you can say, for example, once they knew about it, they ran away. All right. Once they knew about it, they ran away. Una vez que se enteraron, salieron corriendo. All right. So you use once to say like it's a sequence adverb after this. Okay. And finally, we can use last or finally to conclude the story using at the end. You can say at the end. Okay. Do you have any questions about these sequence adverbs? Any questions? Okay. Well, now we also have to check also some literally genres.
Yes, teacher.
Sorry?
Yes, teacher. One question.
Yeah.
Last and finally is the same?
Yes, you can use last or finally is the same.
Thank you.
Last is por último, finally, finalmente.
Thank you, teacher.
Yeah. We can use other expression, but this is more maybe not in stories, but when you are talking and is to wrap it all, to wrap it, wrap it up. Wrap it up is like when you're speaking and esto es como algo que puedes decir para concluir. So you can say para concluir, or yes, you say to wrap it up. To wrap it up es como para concluir y dices la idea, right? Que quieres concluir. Okay. So you can say in English to wrap it up. Okay, some literally genres that we have in stories, for example, you have fairy tales. Fairy tales. Fairy es un hada. What do you think is the meaning of this genre? Fairy tales.
Cuento de hadas.
exactly. Drama. We also have fables. What is the meaning of fable?
Fábulas.
Exactly. So fables have usually morals. They have a story to teach you. Fiction. We also have folklore. Horror. Humor. Mythology. Poetry. Yeah. Okay, we also have a biography. So which of these genres for you is which one do you enjoy the most? We also have black novels. Okay, well let's explain, right? So we have the well, you know, fantasy, right? Fantasy and well, fiction can be, for example, science fiction, or it can be another one. Folklore is about stories being telling in a culture. For example, folklore could be like in Mexico. What could be a folklore story? The folklore is something that is told from generation to generation. I can think about maybe the legend of La Llorona, right? That's folklore, but that could also be like horror, right? Folklore could be the story of the volcanoes, right? Popocatépetl and Iztaccíhuatl. So, or it can be the I don't know. So folklore are stories, right, that are part of the culture of a country, or I don't know, for example, in Ireland could be the dwarves, right? En Irlanda podría ser que el folclore hable sobre los duendes, right? In other countries, they talk about their gods or traditions, right? So usually folklore stories inspire the culture of the country, of the people, right? So well, that's folklore. And all right. Well, mythology, like all the Greek mythology, right? Zeus and all those gods. And black novels are stories about detectives, about crimes, about, I don't know, solving murders. Okay, that is the meaning of black novels. So tell me, do you have any questions about it? About these genres? And which one is your favorite? Can you tell me? Maybe you can open your microphone, or you can share here in the chat. What is your favorite literary genre?
Fiction, fantasy.
Mhm.
Humor.
My favorite is sci-fi.
Sci-fi, okay, science fiction.
My favorite is black novels, drama, fantasy.
Okay, very good. My favorite, I think, is science fiction too. I like Isaac Asimov. He's my favorite writer. Okay, good. So we can tell about stories, right? We can read stories. Maybe some of you like to read some books. So my advice is that maybe you get some books in English that you can read. Is going to help you. There are even books that are made for people that are speaking, that are trying to speak a language, that are learning. And these books are like have a easier language. So yeah, if you read a book, it's going to help you a lot with your English too. Yeah. Okay, so now we go back to the narrative tenses. So now we have some elements we can build a story, but we need to make sure about the use of all of these elements, right? So every of these tenses has a special use. So you can use them to talk about, for example, a completed action, ongoing action, events that happen an indefinite time, and events that happen before one another. All right. Let's make an example with each of them. Uriel, can you give me an example, any sentence in simple past, please?
Water. I was drunk water.
Say again.
I was drunk water.
Okay. I was
I was drinking.
drunk. What is the meaning I was?
Yo estaba yo estaba bebí.
Yeah, so
I was drinking.
okay, but that is past continuous.
Okay.
Simple past.
I ate meat.
Okay, you can say I drank or I ate, right? I drank. So the simple past doesn't use the ing, right? That's the past continuous. So remember, we have I drank will be the affirmative. This is we could say an intransitive verb, or you can add something. For example, I drank vodka, right? So in negative, how will you write this sentence? Negative, Uriel. I drank vodka. The negative is?
I didn't drink vodka.
Excellent. I didn't drink vodka. We go back to the verb because we have the auxiliary verb. Yes, of course, I can share with you the notes so you can see them later. And finally, the interrogative, please.
Did you drink water? Vodka, pardon? Did you drink vodka?
Yes, very well. Did you drink vodka? Okay. Now, please tell me an example with the past continuous.
I was reading a book when my cell phone rang.
When my cell phone rang. Okay, excellent. And here you have the two elements. You have the past continuous and the simple past in one sentence. Okay, so please now in negative, the first part.
I wasn't reading a book
Excellent.
when
And
my cell phone rang.
interrogative?
Was you reading a book?
It will be was I.
Were
you?
Were you?
Were you reading a book? Okay, please tell me an example, Fernando, with present perfect. No, let's see, Heidi, please. An example with present perfect.
Yes, teacher. I have studied for my exam.
Okay. In negative, please.
I haven't studied for my exam.
Very well, haven't. And interrogative.
I don't, I'm not sure.
Okay, the auxiliary verb comes at the beginning.
Has or have I?
Have I?
Okay,
Have
have I
you?
studied for my exam?
Exactly. Remember, we only use has with he, she, it.
Yes, teacher. Thank you.
Say, have I studied for my exam? Very well. And finally, Miguel, help us with some examples for the past perfect.
I was interested in
Okay, here we have the thing. Remember, past perfect, auxiliary verb. What is the auxiliary verb of the past perfect?
had.
Have.
I had interested.
Quiere decir, había estado interesado, right?
Right.
So I have the verb to be in past participle.
I had been interested
Exactly.
in Museum of Louvre.
Okay. In the museum or what?
Louvre. The Paris.
Loop.
Yes,
It is,
Louvre.
right? Like this?
No,
Yes.
it's no,
Of loop. L-O-U-P. Loop. Oh.
write it in the chat feature.
Excuse my French, literally. Is it excuse my French? En inglés, la expresión excuse my French es, por ejemplo, si a lo mejor quizá no son mucho de decir malas palabras, ¿verdad? Pero si se le sale una mala palabra o porque estás muy enojado, entonces dices excuse my French. Es como,
Disculpa mi inglés.
yeah, excuse my French. So, yeah, here literally, excuse my French. Okay, I have been interested. Very well. And in negative.
I hadn't been interested in the Museum of Louvre.
And in interrogative.
Had I been?
Exactly. Very well. Had I been? Had you been? Etc. Excellent. Very well. So is there anything you don't remember about any tense? Do you have any questions about the simple past or the past continuous, present perfect, or the past perfect?
Not sure.
Okay. Some of these sentences, you can make them passive. Okay. So what you're going to do is, okay, we're going to transform these sentences into passive. So you would say, for example, in passive voice, I drank vodka would be vodka was drunk. I didn't change the tense. It's still simple past, but now it's in passive voice. Vodka was drunk. El vodka fue bebido, right? By me, I can say, right? Okay. And remember that by me is always optional, right? Okay, now the next one in passive voice.
Vodka was not drunk.
Exactly. Vodka wasn't drunk. Was vodka drunk or vodka? Was vodka drunk by you? Okay. Okay, this is the passive voice. Questions about the passive? Okay, let's check now with the past continuous. So we can use passive voice here, right? I was reading a book. En la segunda parte no se puede porque es un verbo intransitivo. But the first part we can say in passive voice. I was reading a book in passive voice, guys. How would that be? How can I write this sentence in passive voice? The first
book
part.
The book
was
was
read.
reading.
The book.
Was reading.
Si yes, the book was reading, sería el libro está leyendo.
Okay.
So it's got a book
Is
was being read.
a verb in past participle.
So yeah, so this is un libro estaba siendo leído, right? Because if you say a book was reading, so the book was reading, I don't know, like another book. Exactly, a book
Yes.
was being read. Excellent. Next one, in passive voice, I wasn't reading a book.
Book wasn't being read.
Perfect. And in the next one, in interrogative. What do you think? Fernando, Nubia, Uriel, what do you think?
Was a book being read? Read?
Excellent. Was a book being read? Correct. Here you use were because you're using it with you, and here you use was because you're using it with a book. Excellent. And now present perfect, I have studied for my exam. In this case, it's an intransitive verb, so we cannot use it like an intransitive, like a passive voice, but if I get rid of for, maybe I can use it. I have studied my exam, right? Pero aquí es otra oración distinta. I have studied for my exam. Estudié para el examen. Y eso es una oración intransitiva. No puedo utilizar aquí voz pasiva. If you say I have studied my exam, it means like I have the exam and I studied, right? Entonces esto querría decir que tengo mi examen y ahora lo estoy estudiando. So it doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's the only way you can use the passive voice. So let's use this form so you can say in passive voice, how would that be? In passive voice, this sentence. Eliminamos for y ya lo convertimos en transitivo. So how would that be? What do you think, Uriel? How can I make this sentence in passive voice? Fernando, what do you think? Okay, maybe Nubia, you can help us please with this sentence in passive voice.
The exam was
Not was, but
has been studied.
Studied. Excellent. Mi examen ha sido estudiado. He estudiado mi examen ha sido estudiado. Okay, very well. We also get rid of for. In negative, so you would say?
My exam hasn't been.
Exactly, my exam hasn't been studied. And finally, the interrogative, please.
Has my exam
Exactly.
been studied?
Has my exam been studied? Okay, questions about the passive voice here?
No.
No? Okay, very well. I don't know what I did, but now everything is pink. Okay, now the passive voice. I have been interested We cannot use it because this verb is intransitive, so not possible. Okay, but well, let's check, for example. I have eaten soup. Can we make this sentence in passive voice? And how?
The soup had been eaten.
Exactly. The soup had been eaten by me, I can say. La sopa había sido comida. Okay. So as you can see, the passive voice is independent from the tenses, right? When you use the passive voice, you are not changing, you're not introducing a new tense. It's the same tense, right? So here, for example, you have the past, and this sentence is also in past. So it's not, I'm not changing the tense. I'm only changing the way I write the sentence, starting with the object. Very well. So now that we can use the past, we know all the tenses, right? In the narrative tenses and the passive, we can use the we can use them to tell stories or to tell things about the past. So the first thing, right? Simple past, remember that is for completed actions. You will use the simple past when you did something and you know when it happened, right? Usually the sentences that accompany the simple past are yesterday, a week ago, in that year, etc. Past continuous also has, okay, another use is for ongoing actions in the past, all right? Usually the past continuous sentence is interrupted, like in the sentence, I was reading a book when my cell phone rang. So my cell phone rang interrupted this sentence. So the past continuous sentence is always interrupted. And okay, so now the present perfect are for actions or events that happen at an indefinite time. Okay, so the indefinite time means that you don't know when they happen. Okay, so an indefinite time could be, for example, I don't know, before, right? I have studied my exam before, right? Or I haven't studied my exam since July, I don't know, or since February. Yeah. So you use since, before. Remember that we have also some words just to use the present perfect. And finally, the past perfect is the past of another past event. Es el pasado del pasado, right? Very well, to say that you already did something. So now with these elements, we can make any stories, okay? So we can take as an example, we can read one story. So you said you like science fiction, right? Let's see, maybe we can find science fiction, or we can take a fable, right? As an example, and then another with science fiction. Here, 1 second. Okay, 1 second. We're going to read. So these. Okay, we're going to read these stories. This is a fable. Okay, table. Okay, so it says we're going to read it. Can you please help us, Miguel, read the first paragraph?
One of the countrymen going to the nest of his goose found there an egg and yellow and glittering. When he took it up, it was as heavy as lead, and he was going to throw it away because he thought a trick had been played on him. But he took it home on second thoughts and soon found that it was an egg of pure gold.
Okay, very well. So let's analyze the tenses. So in the first part, what tenses do we have?
Un día un hombre de la ciudad fue al
Nido, very well, de
nido.
de
Okay,
su ganso, right? Well,
right.
this case, or we have here, right? Going. This would think that is present continuous, but it's not, right? This is simply this is simply the gerund form. Este no es un tiempo, sino una forma de gerundio, right? Un día, un hombre, un campesino, right? Yendo al nido. Entonces, yendo al nido, right? In this case, is not any tense, right? But here we have of his goose, found. So what tense is this? Simple past, continuous
simple.
is simple past, exactly. Found there an egg, okay, un huevo amarillo y brillante, glittering. Glitter is like, it's like shine, right? Then we have the next one. When he took it up, this is
He took it up.
simple past, right? Simple past. It was heavy and he was going to throw it away. What tense is that?
Past continuous.
Past continuous,
Past
excellent.
continuous.
Because he thought a trick had been played on him. He thought is,
Simple past.
and a trick had been played on him.
Past perfect.
Past perfect.
Past perfect with passive voice. Yeah. Pensaron que una broma le habían jugado. Right. Entonces esto es voz pasiva and with the past, I mean, it's past participle with the passive voice. Okay. Very well. Okay, but he took it home on second thoughts. What's he took it home?
Simple past.
Yes. The expression second thoughts is exactly what it means. Segundos pensamientos, right? When you have second thoughts is when you have an idea, like when you have some intuition and you guess about something. The second thought es como un pensamiento que tienes simplemente por pura intuición, right? Like suspect something, como sospechar de algo, sospechar de alguien, o pensar algo de otra forma, right? So at the beginning, he thought it was a trick, but he had second thoughts. That means that he didn't believe this, right? No creyó 100% que le habían hecho una broma. So that's why he had second thoughts, meaning that he suspected it could be something else. Sospechaba que podría ser algo más. And soon found that it was an egg pure of gold. Okay, this is simple past too. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's continue. Hey, can you help me read the next and last paragraph?
Yes, teacher. Every morning the same thing occurred, and he grew rich by selling his eggs. As he grew rich, he grew greedy, and thinking to get at once all the gold the goose could give. He killed it and opened it only to find nothing.
Okay, very well. So again, we have every morning the same thing occurred, simple past. He grew rich, He grew quiere decir he became rich, se volvió rico by selling his eggs. Okay. A simple puzzle, this, right? Okay, so it says that he killed the goose and opened only to find nothing.
Teacher,
Okay.
what's the meaning of the word greedy?
Greedy is ambitious,
Thank you.
but in a bad way. So this is like matar a la gallina de los huevos de oro, right? This case is the goose of the golden eggs. Okay, so what is the moral? That greed often overreaches itself. La ambición frecuentemente se alcanza a sí misma o se mata a sí misma, right? We could say. Okay. Very well. So that's the fable. Okay, so as you can see, we can have the elements to tell a story. Now you can also tell your own story. Okay, so now I'm going to show you in the next some pictures. And you will have to make a story with them. Okay, 1 second. Okay, well, this is one easy one, but I have a problem. I need to rotate it. Very well. So I'm going to show you these pictures, guys. You make a story. Okay, please write on the chat. Here you have a series of pictures, and you will tell me what is going on, right? Aquí tenemos una serie de imágenes, simplemente tenemos que crear una historia. Intenten utilizar todos los tiempos que hemos visto, que puedan utilizar en la historia. Okay, you tell your story. You can start your story as you want. You can finish the story as you want. So here you only have the pictures. Now you need to make the story.
The mother was searching her case.
For a kiss, okay. Try to start the story with a sequence adverb. For example, you can say start once upon a time. You can say long ago. También se puede decir not long ago, que quiere decir lo opuesto, no hace mucho. Not long ago. You can say yesterday, right? You need to have you need to know the time, right? And when did happen, right? Try to be creative too, right? So you have, pay attention to all the elements. Here, what do they have on the floor in the first picture? What is this?
Back.
Bags.
But,
Well, what are those bags? Where do you think they went?
Supermarket.
Okay, so they are shopping bags, right? So
Yes.
try to include that in your story. Pay attention to those elements. Why was the window open? Do you think it was hot, maybe? That's why they left the window open. Okay, so include those elements. You can write it here, your story on the chat. Okay, excellent. Miguel already sent the story. Mom forgot her keys. His daughter had an idea. Her daughter told her that she could enter through a window, and she did it. She opened the door for her mom. The mother found the keys in her bag, and they were laughing. Very good. So you're describing exactly what happened. Maybe we can add some sequence adverbs, right? For example, you can use Because yeah, you're describing what is happening, but the story, right? You can say once upon a time, there was a mother, after, then, before, finally, maybe to add those elements would be good. We have said once upon a time, a mother with her daughter went to the supermarket, but in their house, their mother couldn't find. Cuidado, cuando tenemos un modal verb como could, el verbo va en forma base. So couldn't find her keys in her bag. So the girl thought in the window. Aquí creo que no se formuló bien, right? So the girl, esa parte hay que corregirla. The girl, then the girl opened the door. Aquí en lugar de then, quizá finally the girl opened the door, or finally the girl opened the door and they were laughing. Okay. Will anyone else, please, if you haven't completed your story or you don't have time to do it now, please send me this story. And if you did it now, try to correct it. Remember, we need to include also the elements from the narrative tenses and the sequence adverbs. Okay, I see that here. He sent hers. Once upon a time, a mom and her daughter went shopping at the mall. Afterwards, when they arrived home, mom didn't remember where she had left the keys. Excellent, past perfect. She was searching when she climbed, right? She was searching when she climbed through the window. Okay, no hubieses creo que nos faltó completarlo. And open the door, my mom found the keys. In sunny summer day, Miss Gomez and her daughter came back home after a busy shopping day, but something happened. They had forgotten their keys and they couldn't open the door. Mary had an idea and used the open, you can say open, just without the ed, open windows. Good. So I was saying you this story, you can maybe correct it, maybe do it a little bit better, trying to work and improve your story. So see you in next class, guys. Take care. Bye.